smoothie tastes like orange creamsicles. It reminds me of this disgusting ice cream bar that I used to get from the ice cream truck that would drive by my house in the summers. Except this is whole plant foods. It's a health food. Can you believe it? And not only is it a health food, but you got like the orange zest and the oranges and all of the whole foods with all of their fiber, with the hemp seeds and almond milk and the turmeric and the black pepper, and it's all packed with these phytonutrients that feed and protect your cells, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful, amazing thing. It gets so overwhelmed sometimes. Time for talking! Insulin resistance. Are you ready for a shouting match in the comments section? I am. So, insulin. Even though it's been pretty thoroughly demonized, insulin is just a hormone, and like every other hormone in our body, it has a very specific and necessary purpose. If we don't have insulin, we die. Insulin's job is to help blood sugar from the foods that we have eaten be absorbed into our cells all over our body. So our muscle cells are the primary users of blood sugar in our body. They use at least 70% of our blood sugar. When we become resistant to the effect of insulin, the beta cells of our pancreas are still producing plenty of insulin. We have it around, we can still make it. That's not the problem. The problem is that it just won't work properly. Our cells don't respond to it. Because muscles use so much blood sugar, if our muscle cells become resistant to the effect of insulin, we end up with major problems. One of the biggest problems being that blood sugar stays high. As we've discussed in previous videos, if we have a lot of sugar floating around in our blood, it can start to oxidize and damage the tissues all around our bodies. And that can lead to problems that are often associated with type 2 diabetes, like vision problems, blindness, neuropathy and loss of blood flow in the extremities, kidney damage, all kinds of nasty stuff. So what causes it? Well, nobody knows for sure. All we do know for sure is that it is very, very complex. And there appear to be multiple factors that affect each other in different ways in different people, but there are some underlying common factors throughout, and we will talk about those right now. If you asked pretty much any biomedical researcher about what we know about the underlying causes of insulin resistance, fat would be at the top of their list. It is very well documented that dietary fat intake is closely associated with the development of insulin resistance. It's not a mystery. I don't understand why so many people get hung up on that. Oh yeah, the nutritional propaganda machine. When we eat meals that are rich in fat, the amount of fat in our bloodstream goes up. And when that happens, our body has to deal with it. One of the primary ways that it deals with it is by kind of squirreling it away in different places. Our fat cells in the form of body fat, on the sides of our arteries in the form of cholesterol plaques, around our organs in the form of visceral fat, and finally in our muscle cells in the form of intramyocellular lipids. When our muscle cells start to accumulate intramyocellular lipids, they stop being able to respond to insulin properly. They become insulin resistant. Research has found that saturated fats and trans fats, which are found abundantly in animal foods and processed foods, are the types of fats that most encourage the buildup of intramyocellular lipids. Saturated fats and trans fats are also known to build up in our cell membranes, which affect how those cell membranes are able to function and absorb glucose. And all fats, but primarily saturated fat, has been closely tied to increases in intestinal permeability, which is closely associated with inflammation and insulin resistance. Now, over the last several decades, there has been a ton of research done on the differences between different types of fats. Do saturated fats, monounsaturated fats, or polyunsaturated fats contribute to insulin resistance differently? The findings of these studies have been very mixed, probably because these studies were comparing diets and fat intakes that were pretty darn similar, and so they weren't able to tease out whether or not there would be a more significant difference in significantly more different diets. Some studies, this study in particular, was able to determine that once dietary fat percentage got down to under 37% of calories coming from fat, that type of fat consumed did make a difference in insulin resistance, unsaturated fatty acids being the most protective. Protein has also been implicated in the development of insulin resistance. Specifically, branched chain amino acids have been found to have a profound effect on insulin resistance. Where are branched chain amino acids found? Oh yeah, animal foods and supplements. Bodybuilders. However, it appears that those amino acids require the presence of a high-fat diet in order to exert their insulin-resisting effect. It's like they work synergistically to ruin your life. In addition, diets that are rich in protein, especially animal proteins, are well known to cause diet-induced acidosis, and diet-induced acidosis is, of course, closely tied to the development of insulin resistance. Now, of course, diet isn't the only way you can affect insulin resistance. You can stress yourself into a crappy glucose metabolism as well. Cortisol, one of our primary stress hormones, impedes the function of insulin. I've read like 1,000 articles on WebMD about it. Cortisol is also well documented in its capacity to increase our visceral fat deposits, and of course, as everyone knows, visceral fat pumps out inflammatory cytokines pretty much 24/7, increasing the amount of inflammation throughout the body, which is, of course, associated with insulin resistance. So now that we have gone through that list of known causes of insulin resistance that seem to work synergistically together to make each other worse, you go on the American Diabetes Association website, and the first thing I see is an article about meal prepping pot roast. It doesn't work. So what does work? I know people are confused. I know people are arguing with each other around and around and around in circles. But the fact is that we have some really common sense recommendations that work so well. Low-fat diets work phenomenally well in increasing insulin sensitivity. When we stop dumping tons of fat into our bloodstream 3 times a day, our body starts to clean everything out. It gets all of those intramyocellular lipids out, and insulin sensitivity goes up. It's really well documented that high fiber diets are phenomenal for decreasing insulin resistance. Beans, whole grains, starchy vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, fruits, they're all rich in fiber and phytonutrients that help to moderate and balance digestion and blood sugar metabolism. We know they're very effective. And diets that contain or are based off of foods that are rich in whole carbohydrates, so carbs in their whole form, and limited in processed foods, appear to be very protective against insulin resistance. There is absolutely no reason that we should be afraid of unrefined carbohydrates. In addition to diet, weight training and aerobic exercises can be fantastic for increasing insulin sensitivity, and stress reduction is so important. A big part of that is making sure that you're getting enough sleep so that you don't have to dope yourself up with caffeine every day. I really don't mean to be like the most boring person in the world. It's just good health is so simple. It is so simple. I don't know why we have to make it so damn complicated. There's not a different diet for every single ailment. It's just a matter of taking consistently good care of ourselves. And you really cannot go wrong with whole plant foods. So speaking of which, I am just about ready for my next serving. lunchtime. Another one of my 5-minute leftover miracle lunches. Lots of veggies from leftover salad last night. I have some sprouted lentils and broccoli sprouts, which I just sprout at home. It's super duper easy. Have some brown rice and chickpeas on top with probably like, I don't know, the equivalent of like 2 walnuts on top, just for a little bit of healthy fats. And then I've decided that the sweet chili sauce addiction is just going to continue. It's just one of those less than ideal foods that encourages me to consume broccoli sprouts. So fresh. All right, this will do it for me for lunch. And the weather forecast said it was going to be thunderstorming today. Now I'm feeling morally obligated to go to the beach. All right, you guys.
Oh, am I in this one too?
You are in the frame, yeah. So I have this delicious bowl of curry. I have a feeling that I'm probably gonna have 2 bowls. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it and learned something, and make sure you share it with anyone who you think might be interested in the subject. And as always, make better choices for yourself. Nobody's gonna do it for you, and take really, really good care of your wonderful selves. I will see you guys very soon. Bye.
Bye. Oh, goodness.
Such a weird choice for a hot day. Do I ever get tired of always being right?